Today, we're here to do a practice to bring peace and compassion into our lives, into the world, into your community, your family. Peace and compassion. Because we're living in times when people are so filled with so many challenges, with wars, with murders and violence and hatred and dislike and money and politicians and sicknesses, all of these things over and over. If you even take time to read the news or watch it, and maybe you find peace by avoiding the news and the problems. But today, for these few minutes, we, in this practice, in this time together, whenever you come here, we are sending out the energy for peace because we know and see every day the lack of peace and compassion. We see it, as I said, in the headlines. And so now we are going to breathe in and out 7 times to the count of 7 to release all of that war, the murder, the hatred. We want to release it from our conscious minds and from our subconscious minds. So as we concentrate on just the breath, on just these moments of breathing where we are here, fortunate to not be caught up in war or aggression, fortunate to be able to engage in this energetic practice to bring the energy of peace and compassion into our own selves and into the area and energetic area around us. Breathe in, breathe out, 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 breathe in, breathe out. Now we have released from this space, from this time, the energy that disturbs our peace. And to be clear on what we are talking of when we speak peace, we're talking about a state of tranquility or quiet, freedom from disquieting, upsetting thoughts or emotions, a state of security or order in a community, a pact or an agreement between fighting peoples or countries. But the main peace that we as individuals can cultivate is that inner peace of tranquility and quiet, because without it, within our own selves, we cannot expand it into the world, into our communities, into our families, least alone into our countries. So this is the peace we strive to develop within ourselves, because without the inner peace of tranquility and quiet, You cannot develop the compassion you need for yourself and for others. And what does compassion mean? It means sympathetic consciousness of others' distress, together with a desire to alleviate it. Compassion goes that extra step beyond sympathy and empathy. It doesn't just feel. You want to do something to help end the suffering. And in most cases, this is not something you can do physically or even monetarily, because we all have to go through our suffering. It's part of life, it's part of nature, it's part of the cycle of existence. It's how we are able to handle the suffering, how we can get help through the suffering, the energy to survive the suffering. And that is where compassion comes in, because we can use our compassionate energy, the compassion we've applied first to ourselves, forgiving ourselves for our mistakes and our failings and continuing to strive on, the compassion we felt for our family members or our pets or people close to us. We can extend that compassion because we know what it feels like to suffer. We know what it feels like to lose someone or something we've held dearly. We know what it feels like to be disappointed or disillusioned. And these are feelings every human being has received. And each person responds differently to their suffering. Sadly, now we're living in a time when people are so stressed out and so confused. They fail to understand that within their own selves, in their lineage, they can find the answers to end all of their own suffering. And every lack that they may feel can be fulfilled through their own lineage, through your own lineage, through your own innate wisdom. But first, you must have compassion, and you must have compassion for yourself. And so now we are breathing in compassion and peace for ourselves. You are breathing in compassion and peace for yourself. Breathe in, breathe out, 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 breathe in, breathe out. Now, we have defined peace and compassion, and we are now calling upon the ancestors of peace and compassion. Your ancestors, near or far, known or unknown, those who used their inner peace and their compassion to help others, their community, their family. Call on them now. We are calling on those ancestors who were the peace bringers, the negotiators, those who helped everyone out during times of storms, of accidents, of loss. We are calling on the wisdom, our ancestors who have learned the ways of peace and compassion on the energetic, spiritual levels. No matter what our spiritual or religious belief, if you know that energy cannot be created or destroyed, and that has been proven by science, We are all continuing an energetic flow of life, and we can build up the energy for peace and compassion. And we will now breathe that energy of our ancestors to come into and surround us, to surround our auric presence with their presence, so that we will be able to receive from them. So we are breathing in, breathe out, breathe 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 in, breathe out. So now we have called into presence our ancestors, and you may call in your biological, genealogical ancestors. You may call in your religious ancestors, your spiritual ancestors, your cultural ancestors. You call the ancestors you feel closest to who can guide you now to creating peace and compassion in your world. And as it expands in your world, it expands all over the planet for all people, for all sentient beings. And so now we are doing our fast cycle of breathing, calling in all of that energy and wisdom for peace and compassion, calling it in from our wisest, most peaceful, most compassionate ancestors. Breathe in, breathe out, 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 breathe in, breathe out. And now we're taking all of that energy from the wisest, most peaceful, most compassionate ancestors. We're calling that energy as it floats above us, around us, opening up the top of our heads to receive that energy and let it float into what's called our third eye, the pineal gland, where we can see and discern and intuit and know peace and compassion. And we take the energy into our throat so that we will speak words of peace and compassion, to cultivate that energy through our language. as well as our actions. And we have the energy flow through to our heart. For it is from our hearts that peace and compassion will arise. And finally, to our solar plexus for the willpower, the determination, and the discipline to continue to nurture peace and compassion within ourselves. You nurture peace and compassion within your own self in order to bring it to others. In order to create a world of peace and compassion, individuals must have it within themselves. So we have called upon our ancestors, the wisest, the most peaceful, the most compassionate. And they have filled us with their energy. And now we are thanking them for sharing this energy and wisdom with us. And now we say thank you and ask all of our ancestors, the wisest, the most peaceful, the most compassionate, to return to their sphere, their energetic sphere of existence, so that we remain in our own energetic sphere of existence, moving forward, having accepted and received their wisdom, their guidance to have peace and compassion within ourselves and to share it with the world. And so be it, and so it is. And we will end with a little music. And yes, my name is Coco Griot. And I do these practices for whomever may ever show up, because energy is not a belief. It is a scientific, proven existence. And when I was just a wee little girl, as they say, living in Panama City, Florida, it came to me that I always was and I always will be. That moment, I recognized that I am energy. But just like most of us, we lose that little bit of truth, that big understanding. We've got it back now. In every effort, every bit of energy that is sent out there with peace and compassion and love and gratitude and generosity brings it back and expands it for all. Thank you. And remember to smile, breathe deeply, and be grateful.